I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about how to tell your ex about attachment theory.
This is an interesting one.
This is a big question that a lot of people ask. So, how do you tell your ex about attachment theory? You don't.
Before we get into it, I did want to say that Greg and I are available for coaching. So if you would like to talk about your situation one-on-one with us, you can head to the website and book from there.
You know, so many people come to the channel, they hear about attachment theory for the first time, and they are just overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. They are like, I didn't know I was like this. I didn't know they were like that. And if I only knew, we would still be together.
Right. And you feel so identified, and you can also see your ex in some of these descriptions, and you might be so inclined to tell them all of your new insights.
That's not how attraction works. Okay? Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, where you tell somebody and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's great. Let's be together again. First of all, they don't understand it like you are starting to understand it, and they have no desire to understand it because their desire is freedom right now.
Right. And so we're going to get into why we don't advise people to go out and really try to tell their ex about attachment theory during a breakup, because there's already so much happening in a breakup. And we figured this video can kind of help you if you're thinking about it, if you're also thinking about using attachment theory as a reach out.
Yeah. Let's start with that. Number one, do not break no contact to tell your ex that they're avoidant.
Right.
It's not going to go well. It is not going to go well.
And it's because it comes off as very dismissive. It can come off as an excuse.
Yeah. Well, we're not together anymore because this is what's wrong with you.
Right. And or, oh, I just did these things because I'm avoidant.
Yeah. As
if it makes, the neglect or the dismissiveness through the relationship any better. So we have to think about it from their perspective, how they might be receiving it. For some, it can even be received as criticism or blame, like you've done something wrong. And for people, they can get a lot of boundaries up. They can get a lot of walls up when they start to hear about these psychological theories because they feel like it's a personal attack.
Yes.
So while we are not the people to gatekeep any kind of information, we want to get attachment theory out there. Mm-hmm. We do think that a time and a place to share that information is really important. And the other person's receptivity is also super important in sharing what knowledge and insights you've made.
We've seen many people try this over the years, and it usually makes the situation worse. And I've had, people tell me, I told my ex, and they just got more angry, more agitated, and it made me look like I was more desperate, which it can because you're trying to manipulate them. You're trying to use this as, oh, well, if we just do this, the relationship will go great.
Right. And it's not taking into account everything that might have happened there towards the end. I know attachment theory in general gets a lot of criticism from the field for being reductionistic. People think it can be a little bit too simple to describe some complex things that happen in relationships. And so that's how your ex might feel when hearing this. They might say, well, there's so much that happened in our relationship. You can't just chalk it up to anxious, avoidant, disorganized, secure, right? We use these descriptions as ways to try to understand patterns. And when people are in the right mindset and receptive to it, you can apply this theory to your personal life for personal growth, right? That's our goal. That's our hope here. But for someone who's going through a breakup, someone who's ended a relationship, they're not going to be in that same mental space to receive it most likely.
So if I reach out and say, hey, I just want to let you know that, we would be together if I wasn't so anxious and clingy,
And if you were just less avoidant and you didn't have so many problems.
Well, if you want to...
And you have a lot of problems. Can we talk about all the problems you had? And then we can fix it together.
Oh, gosh. Well, if you want to call all those things that happen in our relationship anxious, then so be it.
People don't have any interest. When they're going through the breakup, that's not the time and place to do this stuff.
Right. And we can't say always. Sometimes there are people who already know about attachment theory. That's already been maybe even a point of discussion in your relationship. And you might be figuring more about it right now to your own personal life. But we have to be careful on how we speak to our ex-partner and how we try to repair things.
Absolutely.
So exes are typically cold and unreceptive. And you also have to think about it this way, but awareness is only the first step. So you might tell your ex about attachment theory. They might have already known about attachment theory, but the real difference is made when you're starting to work on these behaviors and when they are willing to work on those behaviors. After a breakup, after they decided to end the relationship and say, I'm not in this anymore, they are probably not going to be willing to work on those things.
Yep.
And thinking about your influence on their life right now as somebody who's their ex, it's not as strong as somebody who would have been their partner. It's not as strong as somebody who's a friend or family member or their therapist. And so we have to think about our roles in our ex's lives.
Yeah. Now, we've got close to 2,000 videos at this point, and I'm pretty sure in 0 of them do we tell you to reach out to your ex and tell them about attachment theory. But what we do is tell you to work on it in no contact. That is what makes the difference. So when they show back up in your life and you implement it and you show those things, that's the difference. Telling them almost is going to get you mocked. Right?
Right. You have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
And in the context, let's say the both of you are in a relationship or you meet someone new and you want to bring up attachment theory, these are things that are great and we encourage. We want couples to work on their attachment together. We think that's a really great way of healing together. But we have to read the room. We have to be aware of our delivery and how we're sharing information.
Yep.
And we have to be able to talk about the impact of that information on our own life rather than assume how it affects someone else. Both of us had a professor in college. We actually shared the professor years apart. And one thing that she would say is nobody likes to feel analyzed. So she would teach students to not sit there with their magnifying glass as clinicians once they've graduated to their client, and you almost feel like a spectacle going to therapy, but rather, talking to someone like they're a person, and be willing to be curious about their experiences. So we know that we share so much information about attachment theory, and you might identify yourself, you might say, wait, this describes my ex to a T, this is perfect, I can't wait to tell her or him. Right, but it doesn't feel good.
Especially for an avoidant. They especially do not want to feel like something's wrong with them. Many times they gaslight themselves into thinking, I'm fine. My childhood was fine. My parents were fine. Everything was fine.
Right.
And it wasn't fine. You don't wind up avoidant if life was fine or good. So when we expose those things in a way to them, it makes them put themselves like even further in a shell. They go from maybe a turtle that was sticking their head out to all the way back in.
Right. And we have to remember that we often just know the tip of the iceberg of the story. So we only have few pieces that we work with and can kind of speculate and guess about a person's life, but it's really between you and your partner to talk through these experiences, to figure out for yourselves, and to be very respectful as you do it.
When they come back, your focus should be on taking things slow, reattracting them, having fun. And when you have to discuss those things, you only do it a little bit at a time, okay? That's not your focus. Many people want to make their focus, I've changed. I imagine like Chris Farley, like, I've changed.
Did you know you're avoidant?
Yeah. It's not going to help. If it helped, we'd tell you to do it. But we usually see exes get upset, even worse, pull away, lose attraction. So it's better for you to know the information, display the changes with your behavior, and if it comes up and you talk about it here or there to give them a little insight, that's going to be more effective.
I agree. And there are miracle cases where you do see exes be receptive to it, but they're probably not talking to us.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody say, and I sent them videos on attachment theory. I saw a guy create his own TikTok channel one time. It was like, oh man, you're making things so much worse for yourself.
Right. And trust me, we are not gatekeeping this kind of information. We talk about it constantly. In fact, I think in every video, you'd have to do a lot to make us stop talking about attachment theory, because obviously, you know, we've seen it be helpful in our own lives and in the lives of others, but we don't like to see it used in manipulative ways during breakups. And even if you have the best intentions, sometimes it can be received poorly, and we don't want to put you in that kind of a situation.
Yep. So while it can be exciting to want to share your growth and your changes, and you know, you feel like, wow, there's really hope to change my situation now that I know all this stuff. Yes, there is, but you want to show it. You want to display it. When your ex reaches out and you're talking with them, that's when you have to implement it. And believe me, however hard you think it's going to be 10 times harder, because your emotions are going to overwhelm you. I mean, I talked to you today about the case that with two of my cases where exes came back, and both people were just spiraling out of control.
Right. So attachment theory can be super helpful if you apply it to your life, and if you also, you know, embed it with the complexities of life and the complexities of relationships.
Yep. So keep it to yourself. Do not reach out to your ex to tell them they're avoidant. Do not reach out to them to tell them about attachment theory. It's not likely going to help. It's likely going to make things worse. I know you want to do it, but I've seen so many people do it over the years, and it usually just hurts their situation. Yeah. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you're ready to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.